Guys, have you seen the movie When the Sun Sets? Because I've seen it. Let's talk about the movie. First of all, I want to talk about whoever sang the soundtrack. That voice was heavenly. I literally had to, when the movie finishes and the names of the everyone involved in making the movie starts, like, going up and scrolling up. I had to wait to just listen to the song because the song was beautiful. Now the movie is a storyline we probably have seen before. I don't know. I think we've seen it before. However, I did enjoy the movie. I'm not gonna lie. The movie, the casts were Bimbo Ademoye as Priscilla, Emeka Ike, our veteran Emeka Ike. The moment I saw him, I was excited. As Obinna, Rita Edochie. I think Rita Edochie, yeah, as Obinna's mom. Adeze, her name is Heavenly or Sadebe, something like that, as the daughter. Now, the movie centers around a lady, Prissy, who really was in love with this guy, Emeka. They were so in love from their nascent stages of development. They were really in love. They were struggling in love. She would do everything to just make him happy. She stood by him, supported him. She even gave him her phone one time when her uncle bought her a phone. She gave it to him. They were madly in love with each other. Fast forward to several years later, Emeka Ike, which is Obinna became wealthy, very wealthy. Of course, he married his heartthrob and they were living happily. However, Obinna's mom didn't like Prissy. So every time she called via the video call, FaceTime or whatever, when Prissy is around or when Prissy has just stumbled on them talking, she acts like the phone, the network is glitchy. You understand? So she didn't like her from the jump, and everyone knew she didn't like her. However, Obinna stood in the middle between his mom and his wife. But what he would not let is his mom's disrespect reaching his wife. So he made sure he tried to stop it. Now, Prissy's brother was staying with them. Prissy's brother wanted to have something doing, like engage in a business or whatever. He meets Prissy, asks Prissy for 5 million. Prissy asks her husband for the money on his behalf. On their way to cash the money from the bank and send it to Prissy's brother's account, Obinna, who was driving, had an accident with Prissy's brother in front of the car. Obinna had a brain injury, a head injury, because he hit his head, and Prissy's brother was unharmed. So Obinna lost his memory, was in the hospital in coma for several days. The mom, on hearing it, came down to Obinna's house with his sister, and they decided to make Prissy's life a living hell. They accused her of trying to kill her son. It was just a lot. Like, Prissy had to do a lot to make sure she didn't lose her temper, because the mom pushed her to the wall, through the wall, and outside the wall. It was a lot. I literally would have been in Prissy's shoes, and I would drag my mother-in-law. I would drag her, because I don't know how much patience I can apply to her bullshit. But Prissy was able to manage the situation. All she was trying to do is make sure Obinna comes back to his consciousness, also comes out of everything alive and gets better. Adeze, on the other hand, was in the middle of all of these chaotic situations, because here we go with grandma tormenting her mom. So she was not having the best of both worlds because grandma again was calling her a spoiled child. Well, eventually Obinna regained consciousness. However, he lost his memory sort of. He was able to remember his mom, but he didn't remember his wife. Neither did he remember his daughter. So the mom started taking care of him. In fact, at some point, the mom wanted this ATM card from the wife. She demanded for it, but the wife refused to give it to her. So the mom used the situation Obinna was going through to collect the ATM card because Obinna didn't recognize the wife. So he saw the wife as a stranger. He didn't like her around and everything. So she used the opportunity to collect the card to spend his money for real, for real. Now, on the other hand, we have Obinna's sister who came with Obinna's mom to torment Priscilla. But the Obinna's sister had an issue with her marriage. That was her second marriage. And she left the marriage, but later realized that she was pregnant. Then she actually at some point reconciled with Prissy because she realized that Prissy is not a bad person. So Prissy also advised her to go back to her husband because she's pregnant. Well, she later went back. Now Prissy's brother left the house because Prissy didn't want him in the house when the grandmom was around. Mainly because he was in the car when the accident happened. So she didn't want him to be in a chaotic situation or to be in a situation whereby the grandma would accuse him of trying to hurt Obinna. So she told him to go stay with her aunt. Now, both Prissy's siblings were quite insensitive. The brother still came back to her in the midst of all of the conundrum, the debacle, the whole hospital, the whole situation. He came back to her to ask her for the 5 million. Her husband promised him while the husband was in coma in the hospital and they were spending all of these monies. He came back to ask her for 5 million. She sent him out of her car, which is a very good thing to do. I applauded her for that. Yes, I do know it's a movie, but in case you're in that situation, you better get them out. Her sister, on the other hand, came because she was preparing for her wedding, and Obinna had promised that he was going to do something for her, but he didn't spell it out lucidly. So she came forward. She came to the house, told the sister, I'd like you guys to handle 2 cows or whatever. The sister said, no, you're not milking my husband like that. We are not going to handle anything. She was like, boy, really? I took care of you. I took care of Adeze when Adeze was little. I took care of her when you were going through it. I was taking care of her. She said, well, you stayed in this house, you took care of her for 2 years. When you were leaving, my husband gave you 7 million naira to go open up a business. So what you talking about? Well, eventually, she walked her out of the house. So after this whole dramatic situation with Obinna in the hospital, Prissy was handling stuff on her own. She didn't want any family member to be involved. She knew she could shoulder everything coming. She had built the wall, the tough skin for it. And it was not easy, but she had to do it. Well, the situation got so intense that he put his hands on her, he slapped her, and sent her out of the house. She had to go to her auntie's house where the sibling kind of mocked her a little bit. And then she prayed, she cried, and whatever. At home was her daughter who the husband did not recognize as well. The daughter was she became a shadow of herself. This was a once effervescent girl and whatever. She became a shadow of herself. She was not talking. This girl was literally loquacious before the whole thing. She became quiet and very reticent, was not talking. And then she had an asthma attack, and Mabel, the house help, was screaming, inhaler, inhaler. Then the dad tried to get, that's Obinna now, tried to get the inhaler as he was running down the staircase. He tripped and fell, and I think there was a reconstruction that went on in his brain. He was taken to the hospital. What's her name? Adeza was taken to the hospital as well. Then he regained his memory. He started trying to apologize to the wife because he knew he had done a lot of stuff when he was going through his amnesia or whatever. And the wife eventually accepted, forgave him because she knew he was doing it out of his mind. Then he decided to send the mom packing. He decided to send the mom packing. The mom cried, called the sister. The sister said, well, because the sister tried to tell the mom, this lady is a good lady. She doesn't have a problem. Let's cut her some slack. Leave her alone. Let them enjoy their home. They both love each other. She shut her up. She told her she was a weakling or whatever. She called the sister. The sister said, I told you. Well, at this juncture, you need to go apologize to Prissy because you've done a lot of harm to her. She went, she apologized. Prissy forgave her and she said she was going to leave. They tried to convince her to stay back. She said no, she was going to leave. That was where the movie ended. Nice movie if you ask me. Now let's talk about the sides of the movie I love. The good side part of the movie. The characters, of course, Bimbo Ademoye is a beautiful and flawless actress. She did her part well. We all know Emeka Ike is a veteran. He's literally deft at what he does. He's an OG. Then I want to concentrate more on the girl, Adeze. Beautiful acting. I love how she interpreted her role. She acted like, all of these, these children who are quite loquacious. They're smart. They talk a lot. They are, there's a name for it. Oh my God, there's a vocabulary for it. I'll remember it. There's a vocabulary for it. But the vocabulary is about kids who act older than their age. They think older, they act older, they act bigger than their age, way bigger. She was that kind of kid. She played that kind of role and she played it flawlessly. It didn't look like it was plastic. It didn't look like she was trying. It was a fluid interpretation of her role. She was, every time she spoke with, whether it's her grandmother or her dad or her mom, it was natural. It was just pure flow, like a clear stream of water. It was beautiful. I had to ask, who is this girl? Please, we need to see her more on our screens. Yes, please. Beautiful acting. Beautiful acting. I don't really fancy a lot of children. Like I've seen quite a number of children act in Nigerian movies, and it's always tiring because it's like they're forced and it's just tiring. But this one, delivery flawless, flawless. I remember she made me laugh so hard when she was trying to speak Igbo. She was trying to tell the grandma what happened, and the Igbo was, she was trying to, it was just not working. I laughed so hard because you could tell that she entered into the situation. It was like she was in a real situation where her dad had just had an accident and the whole house was in shambles. Beautiful. Yeah. Downsides, I didn't like the way her brother, Prissy's brother, interpreted his role. It just looked like it was kind of forced. It was not fluid, if you ask me. That's number one. Number two, there's a conversation between Mabel and the security guard, the one at the gate. I didn't like it. Like you would know that he's not from the north. He probably grew up in the north, or he's been in the north, lived in the north for a while. So by reason of that, he understands Hausa. I thought they were gonna get someone who is a northerner, who has the accent, and then the English would be a mixture of a blend of the house accent, so that it is flawless, so that it sounds like this person is in the north and he uses his accent to speak English. But it was not making sense. It was just not making sense. I was aggravated. It was really overstimulating me. I was irritated. I was like, what nonsense is this? He will speak a little bit of Hausa, then he will speak a little some English. So it was not. It didn't sound like this person is really a northerner. So it just didn't make sense to me. I think that was the only part. Yeah, that was the only part. But others, it was okay. So I'll give the movie 5 out of 10, or 5.5 out of 10. Well, that's it. Tell me what you think in the comments. I think you should go watch the movie. You're gonna love it. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye.